Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Reprint. My name is Ariana Droz and I'm the podcast editor here at the Temple News. Today we have a super special installment of Reprint as we just printed our special edition called The Essayist, where we invite TTN staff and freelancers to write to a certain prompt. And this year the prompt was what inspires you. Today I'll be chatting with some of the writers who contributed to this special edition, and we will dive into their essays and talk about what inspires them. Hi Logan, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm so good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for joining me today on Reprint.
Of course.
And so this is our special edition, The Essayist. We do it every year, but this year was the year that they asked, what inspires you? And you wrote about your family and the weight of your last name,
Yes.
Thompson. So do you want to give a brief little synopsis of the essay that you wrote for the print?
Okay, so my essay within this cycle is just about how I carry my last name and the legacy that I feel like is attached behind it, and the influence that my late grandfather has had on the importance of my last name. Just seeing how things that as a Thompson are always continuously coming up in our family, whether that be family itself, working hard, doing good in school, etc.
Perfect. So I pulled a quote that you said is carved into your great-grandmother's headstone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the responsibility of every generation to make it better for the next generation. And you kind of really delve into this quote in your essay. And do you want to just talk a little bit about how you're kind of embodying that every day?
I feel like just knowing my purpose here and knowing that I am someone that my younger siblings can look up to, someone that people just in general look up to, knowing that I every day am trying to make a better effort to, whether that be better my family's name or just better myself, is, in terms making it better for the next generation.
For sure, yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about the creation of this piece? What was your favorite part of writing it?
I would definitely say talking about my grandfather, being able to actually put in words how his death has impacted me positively has been something that since his passing has been hard for me. So, just acknowledging and kind of reprimanding him as the man that inspired me so much to, be able to write this piece was very nice. And also talking, just because the piece is a family piece, talking about my dad also, and how after my grandfather's passing, it's been motivating to see him step up as a strong male leader in our family and in our household. So giving the credit where the credit's due.
I think it's a really beautiful and interesting way that you said, just reflecting on how his death positively impacted you, because usually people associate death and passing with negative feelings, rightfully so, but I think that that's a beautiful thing that you could pull that out and make it more of a positive thing.
Yeah.
So was there anything that you learned, any realizations that you had, or something that you might have connected deeper to while writing this essay that you hadn't anticipated?
While writing, because I had to go back in my memory, with having people who are passed away, you don't have active, fresh memories to recall on. But something that I mentioned was how my granddad every summer would make me his own homeworks of algebra stuff, because I've never been too good with math, and me actively kind of struggling in math. It's just knowing that he put those stepping stones to help me get better at something was an act of love that he showed for me. So it kind of is actively giving me motivation to, okay, I need to go and study that statistics work, or just helping me in the now with everything I need.
What aspects of this essay are you proud of, would you say?
The ability to tap into something very vulnerable and make it well put together and not, negative, because like I said, I'm talking about something or an event in my life that's shaping me positively but has a slightly negative connotation. So just being able to do that,
that's a powerful skill to have.
yes. And learning to be vulnerable has kind of been hard for me because societally it's not something, oh yes, it's okay to cry, that I've been told. So being able to talk about things that aren't the most happy, it's,
I mean, when you put yourself out there in a vulnerable way, I think that can be empowering for other people.
Exactly.
Also to witness and to see, and people might read your story and take away some positivity in their grief.
Exactly.
So That's a good thing. Was there anything that got cut from your piece, or anything that you weren't able to expand upon? Because we have word counts and those such things. Was there anything that you might have wanted to expand on more in your essay that you didn't get a chance to?
Just the recollection of my granddad being such a family man. There was like this one thing that I kind of included, but how we had distant family where we're from in South Carolina, and how he would go out of his way to just help other people, and that being an influencing factor on my life. And there was this short story about how whenever he would drop off Sunday dinner to my grandma, he would also give food out to like other people just around in the city, and specifically give sweet tea to like a cousin / family friend. But like you said, word counts. I couldn't include the whole story. But yeah,
he sounds like a really interesting and positive person.
Yeah, he was somebody special for sure.
That's so nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was fun.
Hi, Colin. What's going on? One of my favorite recurring co-hosts for the podcast. This is our special edition of Reprint. It's the Essayist, and you wrote a beautiful essay about how your dad inspires you. Do you want to give us a quick synopsis of the essay?
Yeah, sure. So I'm sure as most of you guys who may be watching this, maybe not, I'm the co-sports editor here at the Temple News. That's been my thing, is sports. So this is actually my first opinion piece I've ever written. So it was a bit of a different switch up for me. It was interesting to kind of delve into different writing. A little difficult, but I wrote about my dad. Him and I have a bond that's really built on sports. I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, and we grew up going to Maryland men's basketball games, the Xfinity Center, and then going to Camden Yards, the Orioles games. I've probably been to more than 150 sports games with him. We go all the time. When I go home for college now, we always try to do a trip every summer where we're going to see a new baseball stadium. Winter break, we're going to see Maryland games together again. And it kind of really built the foundation of my love for sports, was doing that with him. And he always had this unique knowledge for sports of knowing everything about the teams, our favorite teams or teams they were playing. And I thought it was so cool. He always knew everything. And it's kind of what I strive to be was kind of like that. And I got like that by in middle school and high school. I was kind of a know-it-all. Someone had a question, I knew it, because all I did was look at sports cards or articles or box scores or watch games. And it was all to kind of because I was fascinated by my dad doing it, and I wanted to build that connection with him by me also being able to know. And it kind of fostered into what I do now is sports journalism. I wanted to keep working. I wanted to keep sports in my life. I was never good enough to play sports beyond middle school, so that avenue closed fast. But I was always a good writer, and so I kind of jumped into sports writing, which kind of plays into what my dad does for his career. Is he was in the Navy for 21 years. He retired when I was in 7th grade, and it immediately jumped into the workforce right away. Got a job with the Maryland Department of Transportation, created his own PR company, Provision Advisors, started doing his own sports podcast for the Naval Academy, which transitioned into his new job with the Naval Academy Alumni Association. But he was also kind of involved in the media field, and he always worked really hard, which I got as a kid, but I never really understood what he was doing and why. He'd work late, he'd come home late, was always on the phone with somebody, always instead of using a notebook, I put a funny anecdote that only him, my mom would get, but he doesn't use a notebook for writing down notes. He uses just random pieces of printer paper. So to write down stuff, does it all the time. I never really got it until I started doing my own career, and I understood why he works so hard and what he does. And it's what I strive to be now is I see how hard he works, and it inspires me to not only make him proud, I'm his oldest son. I've always felt that weight, kind of no matter what, in our relationship, that's kind of how the oldest child feels, and that's how I've always kind of felt. And so seeing him work like that has really inspired me, and just seeing how he has success in the field I'm in. The big part of the field I'm in is you gotta be able to talk to people. There's nobody that I've met who talks to people better than my dad. A unique ability to just strike up conversation with random people. But yeah, like he inspired me from starting with sports as a kid to like wanting to, know everything about sports and be the know-it-all to now inspiring me to really just keep building my career and, better myself every day and keep working and working like to just get better in my career.
Yeah, it's paying off for you already, right? Yeah. You're a co-sports editor. So what was your favorite part about writing this essay?
It's tough because writing the essay, I guess it was like difficult for me because I've never written like opinion. I don't love like sharing my own thoughts. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not the best at like I guess like speaking like it's easier, but like putting into words I found it difficult. But it was like once I got into like the flow of it, it was really like putting down like the like little stuff only he would get or only he and my mom would get. Like he even I texted it to him today, and like one of the first things he said was, I made a reference in like the first graph or two of the story about how we'd complain about the idiot sitting behind us at games, which is like our thing to do. Like where we were sitting at the Xfinity Center, I'm sorry if people who sit behind us recognize me, but you guys made some really off-putting and not educated comments that we judged you guys for. But that was like our thing, was complaining about them. Did the same at Orioles games, and so it was like he texted me right away. He was like, great job, loved the idiots at the Xfinity Center in there, the loose pieces of paper, like kind of like this, like the little stuff that I knew he would get that maybe like the person reading it like wouldn't immediately get, but I knew he would get. That like makes our relationship feel special, and then ending it with the Navy game, because he came up for that and was in the press, like was in and out of the press box as well, but being able to end it by like having the anecdote about him like looking at me proudly, like that meant a lot, being able to see that, like knowing it's paying off.
Yeah, I actually really love that part. I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
If you like wanted to talk about it more, like you were surprised to see him there.
I wasn't surprised. Like I knew he was coming up. I knew he'd be in there. It's not the first time we've been in a press box together, but like I was sitting there. I work with the Philadelphia Inquirer, and like I was there writing the game, like covering the game for the Inquirer. And like he knew like how much like doing that like meant to me, like getting that internship meant to me. And it was just like it was a lot of like different factors like funneling into like that special moment. Like my fourth year at Temple, it was his first time he got to be in the Temple press box with me. We were in the press box together last year at the Navy Stadium, but it was a little bit different being in like my press box, like the one I'm always in. Playing Navy, who him and I like grew up watching. We grew up going to the tailgates. He was in the Navy, now works for the Navy, and it's culminating in like him kind of being able to see like what I do and like all the work that I've put in part because I've been like inspired by watching him. Like being able to kind of see that proud look come over his face, and when I looked up and saw it was him, was just like so fulfilling and stuck with me. And yeah, like something like I'm always going to cherish, and hopefully there's more of those moments. But like that was like, initially it was like the first part of my story, but as I was writing, I knew it'd be better as my ending, and I think it worked out.
It worked beautifully. It was really nice to leave off on that like memory.
Yeah.
What aspects of this essay are you proud of?
I think I'm just proud of the way I was able to show my dad as the person that he is. Like my dad's a hard worker. My dad cares a lot about his job and like how he's been able to build his career, which I like touch on. But I'm really proud of like being able to show more of like the side of like the dad that he is to me, like being like taking me to the Orioles games, to the Maryland games, the proud dad look at the end. Talking about how like a lot of the work he's done has been to like build the family. Well, I have two younger brothers as well, and just kind of showing like beyond I'm inspired by like the work that he does, but kind of like the dad that he's become for me too.
Nice. Was there anything that was like hard about writing this piece particularly? I know you're not usually an opinion writer, and it was like more emotional for you, but
it was definitely emotional at points. Like writing the stuff about the Navy game was like a little bit emotional, and like writing the stuff about like being at the Maryland and Orioles games. Like we don't get a ton of those moments anymore because I'm away for 7 months out of the year. And then like the last 5 years, like I work at nights now, so it's been difficult to get to those games. Kind of like recounting how that used to be like usually like a weekly or multiple times a week thing. But it was like really tough for me was putting my own thoughts on the paper. Like I never put my own thoughts onto the screen, onto the doc. Like I always knew what I wanted to say, but it was just tough kind of like getting it out and like really sharing it. But I'm happy. Like the hardest part, like most emotional part, was just like kind of like seeing how like much he's meant to me and knowing that, you know, we don't get to go to those games as often anymore and can't do all the things we used to do just like, you know, because we've both gotten busier. But yeah.
So was there anything that like you had to kind of condense or you didn't get to expand as much upon that you might have like wanted to talk about more?
I probably could have talked about our experiences at those sports games for probably 700 words on its own. Definitely something I had to condense a little bit at the start. I mean, again, I've probably been to almost 200 sports games with him, and we share kind of like the same experience. Like I could have added in so many other little inside jokes that we have. Like there's inside jokes on inside jokes that we go over, and like I was thinking about them when I was writing. I was like, I can't get too deep into them. One, because like the word count, and also no one else would really understand. Like at least some of them that I have, like people get like, oh, idiot sitting behind you. Yeah, I can relate to that. But like there's some stuff where like someone's gonna be reading and be like, what does this even mean? Like this makes no sense. It would only make sense to my dad. So it's kind of like it was kind of the only stuff I had to kind of leave out that I could have expanded on forever. Was just going to those sports games with him, because that is kind of like almost the backbone of our relationship, is sharing those experiences.
That's so sweet. And how does he feel about you going into like the same industry that
he loves it. He's very proud. He's very happy that I'm going into this industry. He knows that this is what I'm passionate about and loves like being able to see me like take strides and like, you know, be the co-sports editor here, work for the Philadelphia Inquirer, be able to sit in the press box for Temple Navy. Like he's very proud of being able to see it, very excited. Likes to brag about it here and there. No, he's very excited.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Being vulnerable on the podcast.
Thanks for having me on again.
Hello, Bradley.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me on this special episode of Reprint for our special edition Essayist issue. So you wrote about someone named Tim and clubbing. Do you want to give a brief synopsis about your essay?
Yes. So the original idea was just like clubbing in general. Then I started writing it and I was like, this isn't going anywhere. So then I remembered about like a t-shirt that I wore the first time I went to Frankie Bradley's favorite place in the world.
It's a good one.
It's really great. But I wrote it about like all of the things that like Tim gave me, or / were bequeathed to me by Tim's family, specifically my stepdad and his mom, after he died. Because basically a lot of the stuff were just like, it was like, oh, like he was gay and he died, so like we're just gonna give you a lot of his stuff, which was like a really sweet sentiment.
Even though you never met him.
No, never met him a day in my life.
Right.
But like part of it feels like I did know him a lot, because like when I'm wearing his stuff when I go out, or like when I think about him when I am like getting ready, like I talk about listening to like Janet Jackson when I get ready to like have him with me a little bit. I just have a lot more fun. It inspires me to let loose and like not be as like bogged down by insecurities, pretty subconsciously, but also like pretty deliberately. So that was kind of like the gist of it.
So do you have a favorite part about writing this essay?
I think just like the idea that I got it out. When I went to Opinion last year, like on the desk there was like a handful of stories that like I was like, I'm gonna write these before I finish my time at this publication in any capacity. I've gotten most of them out. This one was the most recent of them. There's one more that I think I'm like holding on to soon, hopefully. But that was like my favorite part, was just like finally getting it out of my system, telling this story, and also just like learning a little bit more about myself. I learn a little more of myself every time I write stuff like this.
That's sweet. How long was that list? Like, was it big?
Probably like 6 or 7 stories.
That's a good amount.
Not to make a 6-7 joke on the pod, but
I think we're past that. That was like so before Thanksgiving. What did it mean to you to write a piece about Tim, someone that you never met but still carry with you in spirit?
It means a lot because like I also like as I grow older, I've become like a lot more spiritual, I guess. This is like the second thing I've written about like ghosts and spirits in the past like month. So just like I don't know, it just means like a whole bunch to like be able to tell somebody else's story that like kind of didn't get a chance to, and like tell a story that has been like in my family for the past couple years and kind of been like an underlying sort of like thing that we all think about and kind of don't know how to put into words, that I didn't know how to put into words until now. So, yeah.
Nice. And you talk about like learning more about yourself through every piece that you write. What do you think that you learned about yourself in this one specifically?
That I'm just like really, really insecure all the time.
I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah, like it's something I think about like quite often, and I like every time I do something, I'm like, wow, I really just am like a shell of myself in a lot of ways. But I was writing this, I was like, oh, like I need like some sort of like, I need to like dig deep and like find out like why these things happen when I wear his clothes. And then it was just like, because when I'm by myself, I don't really want to be like wild and like have a fun time because I'm like too scared to, regardless of who I'm with. So yeah, it was just like I learned like another facet of like what makes me very, very deeply insecure about myself. And hopefully I'll liberate that soon, but
that's relatable though. Do you like tell people about Tim like when you're out? Or like is it just kind of like something that you keep for you?
It's something I keep. I've like talked about it before, like outside of like going out, because like I feel like that's just like a little bit of a weird conversation to have, like dancing with somebody like, oh yeah, like this is whose shirt I'm wearing. Yeah, but I talk about him quite often actually. I especially recently, I've been throwing him around a lot, like in conversations. So that's why I was like, when it came time to write this, I was like, oh, like this is the angle I'm gonna take. He's been on my mind for a while.
And you said Tim is also queer.
Yes.
Well. So I feel like when I was reading your essay, like I was noticing this, like these layers of kind of honoring our queer elders and partying in their name in like ways that they might have not been able to party in their day of youth. Like there's just like that aspect and that layer of it of just like honoring your elders in a party.
Yeah, I think everyone should have queer elders, alive or not. I have some that are alive. One specifically who I've been like, oh, I should hit him up. I haven't talked to him in a while. And then like also just like the ones that we think about and like carry with us. I think it's like so important. Because also just like when it comes down to it, the people that like were doing this like in the 80s and 90s, like had it a lot more difficult and have a lot more wisdom. Like we obviously have spaces where we can like live freely, and they kind of didn't. So I think it's just so important to remember like those people and the things they went through, and like doing it like wearing one t-shirt at a time is like how I choose to do it.
One Janet Jackson song at a time.
Yes.
Love
one loop of All For You like is all it takes.
Was there any aspect that was hard about writing this piece?
Yes, there were many moments where I wanted to like literally throw my laptop out of the sack window, because I was writing it pretty late at night, but also because it's like many times there are like two things where like sometimes essays will just like flow out of my mouth and onto the page, and it'll be like so much easier to write, and then others where it's like I can feel my brain being like don't go there, or like don't write this sentence, or like you actually don't know what you're talking about. This was one of those cases, because it was like really emotional and like kind of sensitive, which is like sometimes very hard for me to like throw out, because it's also like I don't want to confront a lot of the things myself. And once
doing it in front of everyone,
once you hit publish on something, it's kind of just like, well, my blood and guts are on display for other people. So that was the hardest part for me for this one, was like, I don't know if I want people to really know all of this, but now they do. So nothing I can do now.
Essay.
Thank you.
I'm glad you shared it. I enjoyed so much reading it. I could feel the fun.
I'm really glad I did it too, because it's also like not completely sad. Like it is very like joyous and like happy, but it's always like about a couple hours of like, oh my God, did I really do this? And then like the second that passes, you're like, oh, like this is really good. Mm-hmm. Like I can have fun with this now.
Yeah. Good. And I want to know too, what aspects of this essay are you proud
of? Like writing wise, or just like the process?
Content, process, whatever speaks to you.
Proud that I finally did it. That is like number one. Number two, I'm like very proud of the way that I did it. Because, like, I like love writing about, like, bodies and, like, people, like, dancing together and, like, the kind of, like, physicality of, like, life. And, like, I feel like this one has, like, a good amount of that in there, which I really love. I like that I was also really proud that I kind of hinted at, like, how kind of gross it all is. Like, going into a club, like, everyone's sweating. Mm-hmm. Like, you're getting, like, drinks poured on you by accident by, like, people around you.
Trust me, I felt the sweltering heat of Frankie Bradley.
Yeah, like,
reading your essay.
It's so nasty. Like, and then if you, like, really had a good time, like, you're walking out and, like, you can, like, taste, like, somebody else's, like, spit in your mouth, which is, like, really gross. But, like, it's just, like, how the night goes. And I think, like, that's really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I'm really proud that I was able to, like, finally write something about that. Because I wanted to write something about that since the beginning of the year, since I turned, like, 21 in June. So I'm, like, very happy that I finally got all of those aspects out on it.
Was there anything that you wanted to expand on in your essay that you didn't get a chance to because of word count or just, like, you know, the whatever was going on?
See, I'm a notorious word count hater.
That's fair.
I cannot stick to a 750 word count to save my life. I've been, like, in my brain, if I wrote about this, it would have been, like, 2,000 words, like, genuinely, because there's a lot there. Like, because it wasn't just, like, Janet Jackson t-shirts, posters, stuff like that. I also got, like, a whole bunch of jackets, pair of boots, sunglasses. And, like, there was, like, random bits where it was, like, there would be, like, a thing of, like, his old chapstick in his pocket, and I've, like, had, like, a whole thing written about that in my brain. Like, just random stuff like that that I would, like, love to have expanded on. But, like, alas, I was stuck to the theme of clubbing and 750 words, so I couldn't really go much beyond. And also just, like, a whole other expansion on, like, what it means to relate to queer people, dead or alive, and having people close to you to guide you through these experiences is so, so important. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get to the heart of that, too. And I did, but I wanted to, like, really, like, dig the knife in there and, like, get deeper in, but I
hear an unabridged version coming soon?
If I ever have the time, quite maybe, yes. I would love to.
I'll be on the lookout for that one.
You should. But other than that, no. I think I'm very proud of the thing that I made. I just read it before, because I got home at, like, whatever time I got home last night, and I was like, this is garbage. And then I woke up, and then, because I was, like, so tired, and I woke up, and I was like, no, this is fire. Mm-hmm. So I've looped around to being very proud of it again. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I would do anything else different on this front. I would just like to really tell a story a tad bit more if I ever had the chance.
And I hope you do.
So do I.
To read it. So we're going to switch over to the editor side.
Amazing.
Because you are our copy editor here at TTN. So I would love to know, how did you and Val decide on the prompt? It was what inspires you? What inspired that?
A lot of just, like, spitballing. I think we came up with the idea walking back. Like, we were, like, working a long night here, and then we were, like, walking back from Richie's to get, like, coffee or something. And we were just, like, spitballing ideas. Because the problem is that, like, we have, I think this issue had, like, 13 or 12 essays. And you have to make the prompt, like, vague enough that, like, everyone can find something unique to write about, but also, like, specific enough that there was, like, a specific, like, theme tying everyone together. Mm-hmm. So, like, me and Val have also already, like, done an essayist before. We each, like, had our own themes for, like, when we ran the opinion section. So, like, it literally just came, like, of a moment of us just, like, randomly saying prompts. And then Val said, like, what, like, who/what inspires you? And I was like, that works. Like,
And you ran with it.
Yeah, because I think everyone has stuff that inspires them, and it's like we can have a lot of like very touching stories, and we did. So I'm very happy that we ended up with that prompt. So yeah.
Nice. What was the best part about reading and editing everyone's essays?
A lot of it was just like seeing, because obviously we had like freelancers and stuff, which was really nice because some of them, like, I've never read anything that they've written before, which was crazy that they were like willing to go on the ride of like a special issue with us on like first time, and just automatically seeing like their heart and soul was really nice. But also people that like I know on staff, like I got to see what makes them tick a little bit more, because not many people on staff like write essays all the time. Like your essay on Autumn was really lovely.
Oh, thank you.
I got to see like Colin and Ryan, the sports editors, sport editor, and then my other copy editor, like the relationships with their dad and how they shaped them, which is really sweet. Shed a couple tears along the way, admittedly. Don't tell them I said that.
They're going to watch this.
Yeah, they will. Just know. But I think that was probably the most rewarding part, was just getting to see everybody, like what makes everybody tick. It's a really lovely part. And I see that every week, but specifically this time.
This is a special one.
Yeah.
What was the most challenging part about reading and editing everyone's essays?
Ooh, getting me in trouble. No, a lot of it was just like editing other people's essays is hard because like, especially freelancers, because they don't know me. So like they're telling their stories and I kind of have to be the one to like open the document and like edit it and like make their story something that they might not want to like wanted it to be in the first place, or like get like overwhelm them a little bit, which is like always hard, especially when like we're talking about some of them that might be talking about like a relative or something like that. So that's always hard because like I feel bad a little bit like asking them to expand on certain stuff, because also some things like you don't know me, I'm like an avatar on the screen. And I'm like asking you to expand on like a very emotional thing in your life, which is like a hard moral dilemma for me. But this one was like a very, very smooth editing process, I think. I didn't have many moments where I was like, this is really, really tough, which was a godsend because it was just so many essays that I had to edit in such a short amount of time. So I'm very happy that it was like very, very smooth. There was very few road bumps in this one.
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
I've been waiting for you to come and sit with me.
This is my first time being on.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Reprint. You can find these essays and many more on our website at www.temple-news.com, and you can follow us on socials at The Temple News. This will be our last episode for the fall semester and the 2025 year, so I hope to see you when we come back in spring 2026.